It's a big clock. Can't see it. Is there a mridanga player not too far away?
Yes, yeah.
As close as possible. And at least one or two devotees staying Kartal. Yes. Very good.
Bhakti
Shri Smaran Grace, Chinaboy Channel, Bhakti Raghava Swami Sri Prabhupada, Ananta Koki Vaishnavin Ki, Skandaviti Founder Charity Divine Sri Prabhupada Ki, Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki, Samavat Bhakti Ki, Harinama Sankirtan Ki, Grantaraj Bhagavatam Ki, Jai Jai Gaur Kimanam all glories to be celebrated. All glories to be celebrated. All glories to be celebrated. All glories to Sri Guru to Sri Gaur. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurandritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Gadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shandavadi Astacharde Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'd like to request everyone to kindly fold your hands and repeat two short prayers or mantras after me. One is well known, the other less known. So for the second one, you have to use your oral reception. Hear attentively. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Shri Surabhyaya Namaha. 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 Mukham karoti vacharam pangam langayate girim Yakripatamaham vande Sri Guru Dinataranam. Yakripatamaham vande Sri Guru Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. As we normally do on our Sunday feast programs, we would like to welcome everyone. Anyone coming for the first time? Raise your hand. Some people in the back. Okay. Everyone else is. Since the time is short, I would like to maybe share a little bit. Within our ISKCON society, there are so many things happening. Srila Prabhupada, our founder, Acharya, has so mercifully given all of us from the very beginning so many projects, so many ideas. And he explained, of course, if anyone listens to Srila Prabhupada's lectures especially, or reads any of his books, Srila Prabhupada was focused, extremely focused on what our previous acharyas were also focused, and what Krishna is focused on when he descends in this material world. Paripranaya sadhilam vinashaya saduskritam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. The Lord has a mission. The acharyas have a mission. And it means that we also should know, should understand that we have a mission. There is a very unique and particular mission in this human form of life. And it may vary in terms of its application in some ways from one yuga to another, from one era to another, but the mission remains the same. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu referred to that mission as para upakar, isn't it? He gave instruction, those who are born in the land of Bharat, Varsha, Bharat Bhumiti, Bharat Bhumiti Hoila Manusya Janamazar, Janma Sarthak Kori Kora Para Upakar. So the highest welfare we can perform in this human form of life is, of course, first of all, ourselves become self-realized, become God-conscious, become Krishna-conscious. And the second mission is to endeavor as much as possible to help others also become Krishna-conscious. That is actually our, we could say, dual mission in life. Once Srila Prabhupada looked at and studied modern civilization, and as mentioned a little earlier by Yogendra Prabhu, Prabhupada spoke very strong words, gave very strong words in terms of present-day civilization. I happen to be doing a research right now. It's a formal research, and that's one of the main reasons, actually. I'm here in Talavana, visiting different devotee communities around the world, and especially visiting villages. Our Vedic culture is meant to be a global culture. And the basis of that global culture actually begins with cow culture. About 10 days back, well, on the, specifically a bit more than 10 days, on the 20th of May, we had something rather unique happening in California. We held our first cow culture conference, and some 500 people actually attended. And the whole idea was to actually sensitize, bring awareness, not only to our own devotees, but to people in general, and especially a place like the US, as to the importance of mother cow. I don't have many copies of this book here. It's just recently released. Modernity is killing civilization. And I just want to maybe share with you the essence, the core message of this book, which is actually the core message of what Srila Prabhupada also speaks about in many purports of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, in many of his lectures as well. And because I know many of you especially are traveling Matajis who are visiting here in New Talavana. We're leaving today. I only have one copy of this book. But it relates how when Vishnudev, one of our 12 Mahajans, 12 authorities that we have in our spiritual circle. So he was requested actually by Krishna to try and he was of course successful in doing that, to console Yudhishthira Maharaj. Vishnudev was on his bed of arrows, about to leave his body, a rather uncomfortable position to be in. Still, to demonstrate how even in that condition he remained fully, completely transcendental. He was the chosen one to actually bring relief, we could say, to Yudhishthira Maharaj, who felt very guilty about having killed so many people in the battle of Kurukshetra. So Vishnudev related, of course, many spoke on many topics, and at one point he mentions the following, and I request all of you to kindly zero in on this message of Vishnudev, which is actually the essence of this book, and it very much touches on what is going on every single day, every single hour, every single moment in our present-day modern civilization. Vishnudev explains that there are 3 gifts of nature. 3 gifts of nature that naturally are given by God, by Krishna. Those 3 gifts of nature should never be exploited, should never be abused, should never be destroyed. And he begins by mentioning the first one, cows. Cows, I'll give them in the list that Vishnudev gives. Cows are one of the most important gifts of nature because they sustain our very existence when we live properly, which we're not doing, of course, in modern day society. We'll come back to that in a few minutes. The second gift of nature mentioned by Vishnudev is lamb. Cows, lamb. And the third gift of nature is knowledge. When we begin to analyze these 3, they are also referred to as natural mothers. Mother cow. Actually, this second mantra we mentioned, we sang together. Om Sri Surabhyai Namaha. Surabhi. Mother Surabhi. Surabhi is the original cow. All cows originate from Surabhi. Surabhi is in the spiritual world. Mother cow, or Mother Surabhi. Mother Earth, or in India we say Mother Bhumi. And Mother Saraswati. Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. When these 3 are properly honored and respected in society, as we are promoting in our Vedic culture, then there can be peace, prosperity, and harmony. And the exact opposite is there. When these 3 are exploited and abused, as they are today, then the whole society turns into havoc. Srila Prabhupada, more than anyone else, understood what was actually a problem, how degraded was present-day society, and why it was so degraded. And therefore he wanted us, all of us, regardless of which country we belong to, whether we live in cities or in the country, but he wanted us to understand, as described in all of our Shastra, that Vedic culture is primarily an agrarian-based culture. actually up until maybe 400 years ago, if we look at history, that was the situation pretty well all around. Of course, it's Kali Yuga, and there were many difficulties even within an agrarian lifestyle. But the norm, before what we call the the age of industrialization that took place in Europe, 18th century approximately. Since that time, actually, we have been on a descending spiral into an ever-increasing, complex, and destructive civilization. And one of the primary objectives, actually, of our movement, which is Lord Chaitanya's movement, which is Krishna's movement, actually Krishna's mission, is to redress or redirect, or as Prabhupada would mention, one of the purposes of our society is to bring a complete overhaul in society. Not only in terms of consciousness, but also in terms of how we live our lives. There are two essential dimensions to dharma. And actually anyone who is practicing Krishna consciousness, a member of ISKCON, we are meant to actually specialize on this term of dharma. Actually, anyone who has come to Krishna consciousness can understand that we cannot live without dharma. And dharma must be understood in two features, in two dimensions, which it is not today by the general populace, and which is not, unfortunately, also understood by many of our own devotees. And I would say by many people who are religious and possibly a part of some particular belief or denomination. Those two dimensions of dharma are meant to go hand in hand. Our Shastra describes how a Brahmana, a real Brahmana, is someone who sees with the eyes of Shruti Shastra and Smriti Shastra. Shruti Shastra is that part of the Vedic knowledge that gives us especially spiritual understanding. The spiritual, we could say, tattva, truth. And that, of course, goes very deep, is very profound. Whereas the Smriti portion of the Vedas speaks about material things, material sciences. It's another level of science. They're equally, Smriti and Shruti, Shastra, both deal with very profound, deep sciences. So we refer to Shruti Shastra as Bhagavat Dharma, Atma Gyan, knowledge of the soul, science of the soul. And that's, normally takes many, many lifetimes to actually come to that perfectional, topmost understanding of what is our duty, responsibility spiritually. Of course, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, that process has been made easy for us, easier. And the second, in addition to Bhagavad Dharma, there is Varnasrama Dharma. Varnashrama Dharma deals with our material, social situation. And both are very, very important because we are made up at present in this body, because we are here in this material world. We have to deal with these two levels of reality. The spiritual dimension, spirit soul, who we are, and also the material dimension. How to properly look after this body, how to properly relate, interact with other living entities, how to relate with Mother Nature. It is a science in itself. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada gave a lot of importance in wanting to establish ideal communities. This is one such community here in New Talavana. A very special place actually, because as we know, Srila Prabhupada himself placed his lotus feet, visited New Talavana. He cooked here as well. So we have, in other words, we have this dual responsibility. And there are so many things to be done on both of these levels because, generally speaking, all over the world, the leadership, I'm talking about general, leadership in different countries, have very little understanding of the spiritual dimension of dharma, and in many instances kind of reject it or at least minimize it, and also have a total misunderstanding, especially about material swadharma. And this is where we come in. As devotees and as a society, we are meant to actually understand these two very deeply. And to the extent that we understand, we will put into practice. That is the test, isn't it? Show me. Demonstrate. That is referred actually in our Shastra as Vigyan. There is Jnanam and Vigyanam. Ordinary knowledge and then applied knowledge. So this is our part of our mission, a very important part of our mission, to understand the various instructions given to us by Srila Prabhupada. I'll relate to you what I shared actually when I was at this conference. Part of my research is to visit 108 villages in India and 10 of our Vedic devotee communities. I'm just coming from Western Canada, where we have since many years also Sharanagati, about 4 hours from Vancouver. So in India, India's villages right now are in bad shape. Neglected. I'm sure many of you have heard how it's like it's become a phenomenon. Something like 300,000 suicides of farmers in the last, 10 years or something. I visited one village. I just started my field work, actually, what I'm doing now. About a month, 2 months back. The first village I went to, after interacting with some of the local people, I came to know that in that village there were 400 widows. Why are there 400 widows? Because in that village, as in many other villages, there's an alcohol problem. Men drink so much that actually they become ill and either they commit suicide or they die of cancer or ill health, whatever. This was confirmed in my visit to the second village. In the second village, and I'm just beginning this research. In the second village, one of the local leaders with whom I was speaking, he made a very touching statement, significant, that I'm sure you can all relate to as well. He said, in our village, young boys become men at the age of 12 because they start drinking alcohol. All of the boys, all of the young, they're not even men, but they become men. In other words, the villages in India, and I'm sure it is similar, because one important thing we need to understand, there's a whole orchestrated and planned program to move everyone out of the villages. It's been ongoing for the last quite a few decades, actually. It's part of the grandiose plan that some people have for various reasons, not so Krishna conscious reasons. You know, we all can see how there has been and continues to be an ever-increasing exodus from the villages. Urbanization, isn't it? Modern society is especially becoming more and more urbanized. More and more urbanized means we are leaving behind cows, we're leaving behind land, and we're adopting modern education, which is, if we understand Vishnu Dev's instruction, which is highly exploiting. I mean, it is referred to actually in the Sri Ishopanishad, and Srila Prabhupada also explained a number of times how modern day education is actually Atma-hana. Atma, the soul, hana, killing, killer of the soul. Because there is no knowledge being given to young people that they are actually not this body but a spirit soul, and that the human form of life is meant for self-realization, etc. So this is our mission. Prabhupada said, make villages. Actually he said make Vrindavan. So make Vrindavan villages. If we truly understand what is the Vedic culture, which is referred to in India, of course, in Srila Prabhupada's books, as well as Sanatana Dharma. That dharma, that activity, that way of life, which is not meant to be changed. Sanatana. Sanatana means eternal. So therefore, Vedic sociology is promoting these basic concepts and principles, which will, if followed, if applied, will favor our advancement in spiritual life. So I need to bring this to an end here because the clock is just going faster than I thought, as clocks normally do for all of us. We have a ministry in India. I'll just be very brief on this. That's called ISKCON Daiva Varnashram Ministry since the last 9 years. We inaugurated a campaign, and those interested, I only have a few copies. You can take a copy of this. It's called Sri Suravi Global, trying to bring basically this awareness of the main points I was trying to touch upon. And in that context also we launched, now this will be of interest, should be, I hope. We launched an app, a free app, you know, to be up to date with what's happening in the world. Both the Android version and the Apple version that we launched actually just on the 20th of May in California. And anyone can download this app. who can handle a cell phone and enter the two words Sri Surabhi, S-R-I and Surabhi. All kinds of nice information, links to various websites, links to various videos, PowerPoints, etc. like that. So I would like to once again thank all of you for being here, for attending. Please continue to be active members, active devotees. We have, as Prabhupada would say, actually, there's so many organizations and so many movements in the world trying to help in this way and that way. Prabhupada made it very clear, and we should all understand that this movement, which is Lord Chaitanya's movement, Srila Prabhupada's movement, is the most important movement that can actually make a major difference in the world. And it is, in many ways, already. If we look at what has taken place in the last 50 years. But there's a lot more to be done, and therefore all of us, in some way or other, we can make a difference by taking more seriously Srila Prabhupada's mission. Many more things could be said, but time is what it is, so I think I will end here. And if there's, I see a hand up there. Yes.
Maharaj.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Who's that?
Nagendra.
Oh, okay.
Maharaj,
That is lights right here, yeah.
is there anything that can be done about the addiction to drinking?
Is there any, that's your question?
That's my question. I mean, what can be done to, that if the adults to some extent support that children drink and refer to them as actually becoming men simply because they drink, is there anything that can be done to change this consciousness?
Yes. ISKCON as a society and members of this society should be very active in reaching out to people in villages. It's a major undertaking that we should all, be active in giving. I mean, we've had that experience 2 years back. That's what our ministry did as an offering to, in the context of the Golden Jubilee of ISKCON. We actually visited 108 villages, and we had many testimonies, people appreciating the fact that we did that, and that we were not out there to take something from them, but just give to them. So we have to reach out more to these people. We have to give them alternatives, because very often they're just, in many ways, like abandoned, hopeless, in so many ways. And we can, every single devotee, even if one is not able, because not everybody can physically go to villages, but simply by becoming a better devotee, and by endeavoring in our own little ways wherever we are, the world automatically becomes a better place. There's better vibration, more mercy, more positive energy circulating, and ultimately we have to bring Krishna consciousness everywhere, every town and village. That's our mandate, Lord Chaitanya's mandate. So we're endeavoring to do that. We are visiting our city temples to kind of explain to them, actually, this is part of your duty and responsibility. You should not simply be in the cities. Okay, there's a lot of preaching to be done there as well, but we also have to simultaneously go in villages. Thank you all very much, because I know there's another program that I don't want to take time to make that program shorter. Thank you all very much. Jai Grantaraj Sri Bhagavatam Ki Jai.